So today I wanted to share with you something local in Fort St. John. This is Josh here. He came to visit me today to share what Hema is. So stay tuned. Can you tell us about Hema?
Okay, so Hema is historical European martial art. So it basically encompasses everything that historically they used in Europe to defend themselves and to fight wars with. So you'll have guys that, like myself, that mostly do rapier and fencing. I do a little bit of longsword too, but other guys that do like axes and shields, and they'll do full armor, and they'll do, but they're not trying to reenact. They're trying to learn how these masters fought back in the day.
Okay, so it's different from like the SCA and LARPing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is it different? Like, in the SCA, they like to dress up in garb and stuff like that. That's
so they're
Hema do those sort of things?
Well, I know lots of Hema practitioners, I guess you could call them.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go to SCA events to compete.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are Hema specific tournaments where they wear, more modern fencing gear and less timepiece period, whereas the SCA likes a time period. And when they do tournaments, they do like 13th to 16th century tournament fighting. So they don't even do like war fighting where there's lots of stuff where like you're learning from Fiore or something like that. They're teaching you how essentially to not die in war and how to kill somebody, which is kind of the difference. It's not sport.
Okay, so is there different like regulations when you get into competitions then, or?
I haven't gone to any Hema tournaments.
Okay.
I know a little bit about the SCA tournaments. There are some things they do have just for safety purposes in all tournaments.
Okay. Are you familiar with the type of equipment that people would need for a tournament?
For sure. So you're going to have to
Hema?
have like, you'll have to have a fencing mask.
Yep.
You'll have to have a hood so it protects the back of your head.
Okay.
You'll need some sort of hand protections depending on what weapon you're using. So
Okay.
like if you were using a rapier, just a simple leather glove is fine. But if you're doing anything with an open hand weapon,
Okay.
you're going to have some sort of gauntlet to protect your hands. You usually have elbow pads.
Okay.
You'll usually have a gambeson on, which is just a thick coat.
Oh, okay.
And then usually too, you'll have leg protections protecting your knees. Usually below the kneecap, it's not. You might have some stuff, but it's not as vital.
Oh, okay.
Because stuff isn't sharp, right?
So it's more
it'll
this
hurt,
kind
but
of
it's
area.
mostly mostly protecting your joints
Okay.
and that kind of stuff, because that's the
Okay.
stuff that's gonna take the most damage from percussive hits.
Okay, okay. So, what got you started into Hema? What inspired you to start getting people together for Hema in town here in Fort St. John?
I had set up just kind of a backyard workout for me and a couple friends that weren't really feeling the gym scene.
Okay.
And then another friend of mine had come to me with a manual that he had found. And in the manual it was for, I can't remember his name. He's a British dragoon in the 18th century.
Okay.
And it was his training manual for his soldiers. So we started utilizing that, and then we started utilizing the fencing stuff that he was in this training manual as well. And then it just kind of progressed from there.
Oh, okay, okay. So you're more like a study group then, right?
Yeah.
You don't actually like teach people, so like you don't actually have courses and stuff like that then?
No, I go down to Vancouver every once in a while to an academy down there called Duello.
Okay.
And I am working through them to get my certification for teaching.
Is there anything that anybody has to be like worried about when they join you for Hema? Like, is it at their own kind of leisure, at their own risk?
Well, like we try to be as safe as possible. But even in like the SCA guys that do their tournament fighting, they're fighting with rattan and stuff, so not even with blades, and they've signed a waiver saying that yes, this is dangerous, and yes, I could get hurt because you're swinging at each other, right? So there is a potential for injury, but like you're not trying to hurt each other. You are trying to wear protection, equipment to protect you, but like any sport, there's injuries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, with people when they come to you for Hema training or study group or something like that, do they need to also sign a waiver as well? Is there something that?
No, because we're more of like a study group. We're
Okay.
not in a tournament. We don't even have a facility like you train at Kim Park usually, right? So
Okay.
no, and like we don't do. most of the injuries come from once you get to the level where you feel comfortable competing against somebody.
Okay.
So if somebody was just coming, then they would learn the basics of like lungings and the different philosophies for how to defend yourself.
Okay.
Once you got comfortable and you got your own equipment and all that stuff, and then you started fencing with people, that's more of when the injuries come in.
You're kind of teaching people drill work, the stuff that you learn, and then do you charge for the service then? Or
no.
Okay.
I've been doing it for quite a few years, and the longer I'm here, the bigger there seems to be people that are interested.
Okay.
So like that's why I started training with the SCA guys and that.
Okay. What kind of stuff do you teach? What kind of drills do you do?
You're going to expect for your legs and your arms to be sore. It's not like super hard, but like you're going through the drills and stuff. You know, you're holding a sword out in front of you. That's a pound or almost a pound or just over a pound. So, you know, after 15 minutes of that, you know, you start to feel it up your arm.
Okay.
And so then it also comes down to efficiency and movement. So you're not used to moving in the way that I'm going to be teaching them to move. So that's going to be awkward. It's going to be harder on them. It's going to burn more energy than if I was doing it, right? Because I've gotten more practice at moving it. Practice
makes perfect, guys. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about being too fit joining Hema or even the SCA. It will come in time. If you want to get stronger, you can always try doing like push-ups or, you know, some kind of like weights or something like that you can do just at home, or you can join the gym too. But you don't have to do any of that to join Hema. Oh, specifically, how long have you been teaching people Hema?
I think I started in 2009, so about 7 years.
Oh wow, that's a long time. Do you enjoy it?
I do, yeah. The fencing has only been in the last 2 years. Okay. Before that, I was doing mostly longsword and the drills that were in the manual, which were mostly saber because it was cavalry.
Okay. Can you describe a time where you and others were criticized by the choice of sport that you do?
Oh, sure. I've even got like I have friends that have made fun of me. My sisters enjoy it even to this day, making fun of me. My brother-in-law was interested in joining until my sisters were nagging at me, and then he kind of lost interest for a little bit. Okay. But they do it out of fun.
So you shouldn't worry about too heavy of bullying. Then you don't have to worry about any
and like
pressure of any
like,
sort.
We're not like running around in the park in like piece attire. So like we're wearing regular gym clothes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have weapons with us. Sometimes we don't. But other than that, no. And actually, I found when my one friend that I was training with regularly, we went 3 days a week, and I found that the days we went to Kin Park, there was more people showing up on a regular basis when we were showing up on a regular basis than when we stopped.
For a beginner, what should they bring to the study group? Is there like any kind of stuff that people need to bring for that?
If they're just going to try it out, then I would say just something that they feel comfortable moving in.
Okay.
And then coming out, seeing what equipment there is, and trying that kind of stuff out. And then if they're interested, then picking up their own training, whether it's wooden or plastic, or they get a metal one, or however works for them.
Okay.
And then getting used to using that, and then progressing into where we have like our live blades.
Okay. So for the first little bit, you do supply some of the
I'm
the
perfectly
gear.
fine sharing my equipment with people that just want to try it out, because it's not like cheap to get into sort of thing. Like my fencing mask is, I think it was $90, and then my gloves are I think $60 or $80. And then if you want a gambeson, whereas I usually wear 2 sweaters. But a gambeson, you could be looking at a couple $100, or at least the time put in to make one.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of stuff that works. I know guys that use motocross stuff.
Okay.
And then I know guys that use some rollerblade stuff for like skating stuff for like their elbows and that.
Would you be able to use hockey gear as well?
For the most part, yeah. As long as you're comfortable wearing it. Like we're not when we're training, we're not trying to hurt each other. So and that kind of training where you're sparring with people doesn't come for quite a while, so you would have time to acquire and have an idea of what equipment you're going to want to wear and what you're comfortable wearing coming up to the point where you're feeling comfortable sparring.
Okay, so do you study any history in the study group, or do you just study the sport aspect of it?
Well, like Fiore is I think 400 years old. Capoferro again is 400 or 600 years old. I'm having looking for it here. I can't remember the last book I have. It's about 1,000 years old.
Okay.
And those are like Academy Velo uses those books, and they are Italian masters that have put down what they taught in their schools to save lives hundreds of years ago. So.
Okay. Oh, right. So what are the risks potentially that people could have?
If you're not using proper form, you can hurt your knees or your back. I know the friend I was talking about that I started this with, we were getting into some choreograph stuff, and it was getting late and I was tired and should have thought about how I was feeling, and I was like, no, we'll do one more. And what I was supposed to do is, I don't remember exactly how it worked, but essentially how it worked is I dove basically kind of like right here to get away from a slice.
Okay.
So, and prior to that I was rolling, and I was doing it fast enough that by the time I got on my feet, it was just fast enough for my friend to turn around. But instead of this time, I just dove directly into the ground and tore a whole bunch of muscle around my shoulder.
Oh no.
So my friend turned around and I was still laying on the ground, and I was like, so I guess we're going to Timmy's?
Yeah. So there is a potential that you guys may get hurt, so just be aware of that. And
Same as any sport.
Yeah, so take proper precautions. If you're a beginner, take it very slow. But Hema is a lot of fun, so I definitely suggest that you at least check it out and see if you enjoy it. So where can people find you?
Well, there's FSJ Hema group on Facebook.
On Facebook?
I do keep in touch with the SCA guys, and I can't recall what their Facebook is.
I'll put the link down below in the description where you can find the Fort St. John Hema group, and then also if you're interested in joining the SCA, which is a little bit different from Hema, I will also post their link down below. They're both Facebook groups, and you'll have to contact Josh or Carrie. Carrie would be for the SCA group. I want to thank Josh for coming to see me today for this interview, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye guys!
Thank you.